Welcome to Classiq Academy. In this lesson, we will learn about rusting and corrosion, understand the conditions required for rusting, explore methods to prevent it, and discover the fascinating iron pillar of Delhi, a remarkable example of ancient Indian metallurgy. So let's get started. Now let's understand an important effect of air and water on metals, especially iron. You might have noticed that old iron gates, railing tools, or nails often develop a brown coating on their surface after being left in the open for a long time. This brown deposit is called rust. When an iron object is continuously exposed to the environment, a reddish brown coating slowly starts forming on its surface. This coating not only changes the appearance of the metal but also weakens it over time. Now, an important question arises: what is required for rusting to take place? Experiment shows that dry air alone does not cause rusting and water alone does not cause rusting. Rusting forms only when iron comes into contact with both air and water at the same time. In other words, moist air provides the condition necessary for rusting. That is why iron objects usually rust faster during the rainy season or in places where moisture is present. So remember this important point. Both air and water are necessary for rusting to occur. Without either one of them, rust will not form on iron. Now let's understand this experiment using three different bottles. In bottle A, iron nail is exposed only to dry air and no water is present. We observe that no rust is formed because rusting cannot take place without water. In bottle B, water is present but an oil layer prevents air from mixing with the water. Here also, no rust is formed because air is not available. In bottle C, iron nail is exposed to both air and water. This time rust develops on the surface of the nail. So what do we conclude? Air alone cannot cause rusting and water alone cannot cause rusting. Rust forms only when both air and water are present. Therefore, this experiment proves that both air and water are essential for rusting. Have you ever noticed an old iron gate, a railing, or a nail turning reddish brown after being left outside for a long time? That reddish brown substance is called rust. Rust is the brown deposit that forms on iron. It appears as a rough reddish brown coating on the surface of iron objects. At first, only a small part of the surface may be covered, but gradually the rust spreads and covers a large area. As rust continues to spread, it slowly damages the metal. Now let us understand rusting. The process by which rust forms on iron is called rusting. Rusting does not happen instantly. It is a very slow process that takes place over time. In the beginning, iron surface looks smooth and strong. Gradually, rust starts forming on the surface and keeps increasing. As more rust develops, iron becomes rough and weak. Because of rusting, iron objects lose their strength. They become less useful and may even get damaged completely if the process continues for a long period. This is why rusting is considered harmful for iron objects. We can see rusting in many everyday objects such as iron gates, iron railing, iron tools, iron bridges, and iron nails. These objects are often kept outdoors and remain exposed to air and moisture for long periods. Due to this continuous exposure, rust forms on their surface and spreads gradually. So remember, rust is the reddish brown substance formed on iron, while rusting is the process through which that rust is formed. Until now, we have learned about rust and rusting, but rusting is actually a special type of larger process called corrosion. Corrosion is the gradual deterioration of metal surfaces caused by air, water, or other substances present in the surroundings. Many metals slowly react with the environment around them. As a result, different kinds of deposits or coatings form on their surfaces, causing damage over time. We can observe corrosion in different metals. For example, iron develops rust, copper develops a green coating, and silver develops a black coating. Although these coatings may look different, all of them are examples of corrosion. Since rusting damages iron objects, it is important to prevent it. Several methods are commonly used to protect iron from rusting. One method is painting. A coat of paint covers the iron surface and prevents air and water from coming into contact with the metal. Another method is oiling. Oil forms a thin protective layer on the surface and reduces the chances of rust formation. Greasing works in a similar way. It is commonly used on machine parts and metals components to keep moisture away from the iron surface. A very effective method is galvanization. In this process, iron is coated with a layer of zinc. The zinc coating protects the iron from direct contact with air and water, preventing rusting. All these methods works because they create a protective barrier between the metal and its surroundings. Now let us understand why rusting is considered a serious problem. Rusting causes damages to many important things around us, including buildings, bridges, machines, vehicles, tools, railings, and household items. As rust spreads, these objects become weaker and less durable. Their efficiency decreases and they actually become unsafe to use. Because of this damage, a large amount of money has to be spent every year on repair, maintenance, repainting, replacement of rusted iron surfaces. Therefore, rusting not only damages metals but also leads to significant economic loss. So remember, corrosion is the gradual damage of metals and rusting is a type of corrosion that affects iron. And preventing rusting is important to protect valuable structure, machines and everyday objects. Now let us look at a remarkable example from ancient India, the Iron Pillar of Delhi. This pillar was built during the time of Chandragupta II. It is more than 1600 years old and stands about 8 meters high and weighs more than 6,000 kilograms. What makes this pillar truly amazing is its resistance to rusting. For more than 1600 years, it has remained exposed to rain, wind, moisture, and changing weather conditions. Yet, even today, it shows very little rust on its surface. This is especially surprising because we have learned that iron generally rusts when it comes in contact with air and water for longer periods. However, the iron pillar has survived for centuries with very little corrosion. So what does this pillar tell us? The Iron Pillar of Delhi demonstrates the advanced knowledge of metal technology possessed by ancient Indians. It shows the high level of skill and craftsmanship used in working with metals during that time. Because of its durability and resistance to rusting, the Iron Pillar is considered one of the finest achievements of ancient Indian metallurgy and stands as a proud example of India's scientific technological heritage. Dear students, this is the end of today's lesson. I hope you have learned something new. You understood it with joy. And now it's time to say bye with a smile. See you next Monday for more fun and learning.